Hello freaks, geeks, nerds and basement dwellers, welcome to the Nerd Zone. I'm Scruffy and this is Scruffy Tales. And we are gonna explore exactly why the Butleth is actually a functional weapon. So I'm gonna be borrowing some videos made by other YouTubers. I don't have enough subscribers to make any money out of this. I hope they don't mind. I mean, it's just a bit of a compilation of what they've said about the Butleth. We got Matt Easton from Schola Gladiatoria, Skallagrim, and Sellsword Arts. So we're borrowing some videos from them. And so I'm not ripping anyone off completely entirely. I'm actually going to add some input myself on the perks of the Butleth by talking a bit about bayonet fighting and how you can actually use bayonet fighting with the Butleth. So a bunch of videos here explaining why there is some validity to the Butleth in not only close combat in general, but also when applied to the Star Trek universe. So let's get into it. We're going to start off with what Schola Gladiatoria Matt Easton has to say about it. Then we're going to move over to Skallagrim, and then let's see what Sellsword Art has to say, and then I will pitch in with my own ideas and thoughts on the Butleth and how you might actually use it in close combat based on modern era combat techniques, not just historical but modern. Okay, let's get into it.
Do I think that the Butleth is a bad weapon? Objectively, no, it's not. Okay, it's a type of edged polearm, I would call it, more than a sword. And clearly, if we made a Butleth using even just the technology available to us, so if we made it out of 1095 steel, made it nice and sharp, I'd make it about 5 foot long, it would still look like a Butleth. Would it be a decent weapon? Yeah, it'd be all right. And as I say, I know people in HEMA who've sparred with them and they work fairly well. They work fairly well against longswords, they work fairly well against poleaxes. As I pointed out in my previous video, and incidentally, Skallagrim came to pretty much the same conclusions, it excels as a short-ish polearm, a bit akin to something like a short glaive or a poleaxe in an armoured fighting context. So to sum up, I think people that criticise the Klingon Butleth are unwise because they haven't looked at the bigger picture. They haven't looked at all of the ethnographic and historical weapons that exist on Earth from our own various cultures and histories. And the simple fact is there is a colossal variation, and there are some weapons that fundamentally are not hugely different to the Klingon Butleth. In fact, as I've said, the Klingon Butleth owes some of its design to Chinese hook swords, and indeed other Chinese weapons as well. It has a particular Chinese feel to it, I have to say, as someone who collects and deals in antique weapons. But that being said, it also has parallels with some medieval European weapons, and within an armoured context that would make sense as well. But in addition to that, we've ended up with something which is very iconic and looks different to any one particular thing on Earth, which of course, if you're designing an alien weapon, is completely correct. Because you have such a different context, you've got a different alien world, you have a different alien species, a different alien biology. You don't know their history, what type of armour they wear, how they have to overcome that armour, whether they fight mounted or on foot, or whether they fight in forests or swamps or ice. Different situations can lead to very, very different weapon design. Just look at our own histories here on Earth.
So on the one hand, the Butleth performed better than I would have expected. I mean, I wasn't overly skeptical. Against another Butleth, it is quite a useful design. I appreciate the versatility. You have a number of different grips to work with. Like I pointed out in earlier videos, I would prefer if it was all one continuous handle, not interrupted like this, but either way, that gives you a number of different options. It is a little bit tricky to switch grips in gauntlets, particularly the heavy gauntlets that my sparring partner was using make that rather difficult. The pro gauntlets that I was using allow you a bit more dexterity, but even then it's not easy to switch. However, For one of the main purposes, it's completely fine, which is switching between single-handed and two-handed. So switching to a single-handed grip is quite useful for getting more reach. So if I let go with the main hand and swing with the offhand, which increases the reach to, I'd say, about 150% maybe, that makes for good surprise attacks. But then you're also able to space the hands further apart, and that way you can work with it a little bit better up close. And that's, of course, where this really shines in grappling, because you have all kinds of options here. You can attack with either end. You have 2 points on each side to work with. You can slice with the edge, etc., etc. It also offers a good amount of protection. You know, whenever you're parrying like this, the hand is behind the blade. However, the hand is not invincible by any means. If you look at the profile, you can see the hand still sticks out to the side and can be hit, which has happened. I'm assuming a Klingon would see deliberately targeting the hands as a cowardly move, perhaps. But of course, in a real fight where you just want to survive, that's absolutely a good idea. Two batleths interact in interesting ways. On the one hand, the design allows you to block and parry an opponent's batleth quite effectively. On the other hand, it kind of counters itself, so to speak, because the way it's forward curved, that actually allows you to get over the opponent's guard, or around the side perhaps. This can kind of sneak past the defense and get you anywhere. Not only do I like the style, which works quite well, it's a badass looking weapon, and it fits in this sort of scenario. You know, in a sci-fi world where you have basically space orcs who will use ranged weapons when they have to, but prefer to get up close and personal, be in your face with a melee weapon and gain honor that way. Why not something like this? It's not only unique and badass looking, it's also really quite functional for this purpose. Using confined space, clashing with your enemy so close you can smell his foul breath, things like that. That's not my style personally. I'm more used to longer weapons and moving back while you're being attacked so you can snipe the arms, which is just the safest thing you can do. With long swords, that's what keeps you alive. That still works with these. I'm just pretty sure that Klingons would very much frown upon that. A very big frown full of ridges. I would definitely say, and this was my suspicion to begin with, that this is not something that you should just discard as useless, impractical, whatever, nonsensical. And that impression was definitely confirmed by this sparring. It is in no way, shape, or form useless or over-designed or whatever. You can improve it, absolutely. You can tweak it. It doesn't need to be symmetrical. My suggestion for a redesign is not, but you also don't absolutely need to change it. Weight-wise, you can always tweak that by making it thinner and reshaping it a little bit here and there. Not terrible. Not terrible at all.
What's the best sword to use against someone in armor?
The long sword.
Batleth. It's the batleth.
Actually, you might be right.
When you're fighting someone in armor, normal cuts and thrusts probably won't do anything. There's layers of chain and plate, and you're just not gonna get through it.
That's why weapons for fighting against armor look like this. Some sort of spike or beak to concentrate the force.
And the batleth is nothing but spikes and beaks. Because of the mass involved with the batleth, this would do a good job of piercing through lighter armor.
The other way to fight against armor is with half swording.
Half swording allows you to get up close and wrestle with your opponent while also targeting their openings. And the batleth is set up for half swording. You have all of these hooks to control your opponent's points. You can hook up into their joints. This is the ultimate armor fighting machine. While this was better than the batleth was unarmored, this shut this out.
It was
completely.
even more. Yeah.
This is min-maxing.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is an okay all-rounder. This thing was made for armor. One of the cool things was spears are good against armor, but because this is so wide, you didn't have a good leverage point. It was hard to get it into me.
What was interesting is even when I was holding it here, trying these things,
Yeah.
there were a couple times I could almost get on point.
But I could just...
you have more structure than I do.
yeah.
I can't out leverage the Batleth.
Well, the interesting thing to me was I was in this position and you were able to move me to the side. All I had to do was wrap this and I had a dagger. This then became like, that's so cool.
It was so good.
To switch from half swording to switch to, I have a one-handed dagger that I can maneuver around you. This thing is amazing.
It was so good, especially because even what made this so much better on armor was I could say no, it hit anywhere.
Yeah.
If I have to say no backing up and do this,
I just walked you down.
You crumpled.
What happened was as soon as you tried to hit me, I just wall and you go to a different wall. I don't care. I have armor. I keep walking and keep walking.
Yeah.
I will walk you down like the Terminator and then I will kill you.
It was honestly, I think.
And when you were doing it to me, it was the same thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
no, just walk down. You don't have to worry about your lack of range or even your targets because you could just get in there. And what's super cool is the way that these hooks work. As you were saying, you have this one for here, but if I'm just naturally here, I wind. This is the easy, it's just extension, I don't have to aim.
You got me so many times when I was like, I'm safe, I'm close enough, and then all of a sudden this hook came out of nowhere and I was like, where did that come from?
Because you just extend and because it's your whole body, you can put your whole body weight behind it.
It was
so good.
Super OP. So I think we have to say, Needle gets the crown for an unarmored duel, but in armor.
I don't know if anything will beat the Batleth in armor.
I don't know.
That was so good.
You know what? If you're a smith out there, we need a sparring safe, armor combat safe, carbon steel Batleth to do some full harness with, because that, against the longsword, I want to see how it would go.
It was so crazy because while this did win unarmored, it won by a large margin, but not as big of a margin as this won by an armor.
Complete shutout.
Not a single point with this in armor. This was so good.
It was so good.
What am I going to lean back on is my brief stint in military service and how to use a assault rifle with or without a bayonet in close combat. So using a steel weapon to, with excessive force, bring down an opponent with maximum use of violence. That's what I'm going to lean back on. Not an expert, but there are a couple of basic moves with an assault rifle, with or without the bayonet, that you use or that you train for use in close combat. To make it simple, you're going to drill in muscle memory so that you easily fall back to instinct and just go with these moves, these maneuvers, to bring down an opponent. And basically, 4 simple steps in how to use the rifle with the bayonet. And as I will show you, they will apply to the Batleth. So, what is the primary thing you do with a rifle if you end up in close combat, with or without the bayonet? It is the thrust, where you have your rifle. You might go low, you might be ready, shoulder coming around the corner, or going around the corner, low stance. And what you do is strike out with the thrust. Not at the chest. This is where you have plate carriers, flak vests, magazines, pouches, all kinds of gear, radios. So what you're doing is you're using your body's natural motion in extending your arms. If I do this, you see, where does that rifle end up? And the bayonet, right? Face and throat, where a soldier does not have protection in the modern era. Back in the day you had helmets, but in the modern era, a soldier does not have face protection. So rifle, with or without bayonet, thrust into the face. A rifle without a bayonet is, of course, a steel rod that you're shoving into that guy's face. You're going to break cheekbones, teeth are going to go flying, might break a jaw, cut an eye, stuff like that, pop an eye out, right? It's even without the bayonet, it's going to hurt. So we established this. You go here, use natural movement of the body, drill this so that it becomes muscle memory. Shit, someone's upon me. Go straight out into the face. From here, where do you go from here? Well, you can keep stabbing, of course. But what you can do is switch grip to hold the what's called buttstock. And from here, go in with a strike with the rifle stock. And again, as you can see, it's shoulder height, natural movement. It's almost as if it's natural instinct. It's almost as if the body is designed to strike another human in the head. So rifle stock, boom, to the face. Again, cheekbone, jaw, teeth, nose broken. So boom, boom. And from here, the next step is a cut. If you have a bayonet, you go with the cut. As you can see, again, where do you end up? Face and throat. If you don't have a bayonet, use it as a iron pipe. You go with the strike. And again, as you can see here, face, cheekbone, nose, teeth, jaw, collarbone, even a strike through the throat can be devastating. It can cause swelling, and if the throat swells up, blood will not go to the brain, air will not go into the lungs. So you still get effect. So thrust, strike, cut, and from here you can do rinse and repeat. So thrust, strike, cut, thrust, strike, cut. It just keeps on going with the muscle memory. But you have one fourth option, and that is the magazine. So if you're holding it by the rifle stock and you go, you can actually strike out with a magazine. Again, into this area, and getting a magazine over a nose ridge, it's gonna hurt. Getting a magazine into your mouth is gonna hurt. So we have these four main attacks using in modern combat techniques: rifle and bayonet. You're stepping through a doorway or whatever, someone comes up close to you, you can, with the magazine, jab, get distance and either engage, or come down with a cut and do the thrust. Everything face it. And even if you come in low, you can strike out, right? You're holding the gun low as you come in around the corner, strike out with the barrel or the bayonet, head area, face area, throat. Now, is it such a far stretch to imagine that we replace the rifle and the bayonet with the curved bat'leth? Where do we end up? In a much better position for close combat. Lo and behold. Weird, huh? So yes, you can't shoot with the thing, which is, you have to switch between weapons, but Klingons usually have the bat'leth and a disruptor pistol. Disruptor pistols are far more devastating than any firearms we have today. So it's a good gun, small gun, lots of effect on target, loads of ammo in it, and having that back of the bat'leth kinda can be excused in this context. Say a Klingon comes through a doorway, ready to shoot. Someone uses his phaser rifle to knock that disruptor out of his hand. Bat'leth comes into play. There might be a bit of struggle. The Klingon might give the other guy a push. The Starfleet officer backs away. The Klingon has his bat'leth, grabs it by the two lower holes in the weapon, and thrust. The curve of the blade will go into the face. It's actually more natural to do this move than do this move, right? This move is much more natural to the human body. Going forward, the curve of the blade will ensure that you strike the face or the throat. And from here, of course, the next step in rifle and bayonet fighting, rifle stock, but with the bat'leth, you have the curve. Go in with those two curved edges, points where the rifle stock would be. You don't have to switch grip, you already have it. So again, strike the face and throat. And from here, from that strike, you can go into the cut, and you will strike the face or the neck or the throat. And since the bat'leth is curved, I imagine you can actually hook the neck at this point and drag the enemy down. If it's stuck in his neck, it's there, drag him down, and then you can do with him as you please. And also, even if this is not a dead target at this point in time, you have the option to, like we said, with the magazine strike, push with the edged handguard of the bat'leth. So we looking at historical techniques, the bat'leth has some validity to it, especially as Celsodarts mentioned, if the guy is wearing armor and the other guy is also wearing armor, you can use it to effectively block lines of attack, go in, and basically half sorting, the old technique of half sorting with a sword. You now have that with the bat'leth, and you can aim for specific points in the armor, go in, find the chinks, and push for a kill. And like Celsodarts also found out and showed us, that if you grab the bat'leth at the top, you can actually use the bat'leth almost like a dagger and precisely aim for a chink in the armor and go in and press that in to the vitals if exposed. What else? Yeah, so ancient techniques works with the bat'leth. The HEMA practitioners that are credible and respected, as far as I understand it, tell us that the bat'leth actually can be excused, that there is some validity to the design. And if we're looking at modern combat techniques with an assault rifle, with a bayonet attached or without, it works in that context as well. You have all the motions that you need to use an assault rifle today incorporated into the design of the bat'leth. So I think that all in all, since the bat'leth works with ancient techniques and modern techniques, I think it's a sensible, credible weapon. You have the blaster, it's not Star Wars, disruptor that you can use, being ready to come around corners, cover long distances, suppress the enemy, move up, move up, move up. Oh, there's a hole in this shirt. It's my work shirt. And move up until you get into range. Throwing hand grenades, I don't know, the Klingon seems to think that's for, wimps. Suppress the enemy with disruptor fire, push in for a bayonet charge, where you remove the pistol, holster it, throw it to the side, and now it's time to kill. And it's been proven time and time again in modern era that a bayonet charge will freak out the enemy and they will drop everything and run.
And yeah, so I just want to highlight here briefly, just, when we're talking about extending the bat'leth for the thrust, as you can see, you don't have to hold the bat'leth like you do hold a rifle, but you can still push in the point into the kill zone here above the shoulders and hit the facial area or even the throat, as you can see here. So a much more natural push with the arms straight out, slightly angled forward, and you will get that point on the target in the kill zone. I mean, it works. I think it's an interesting weapon when we're talking close combat, especially when we're talking about bayonet fighting and stuff like that. And yeah, it's been proven in actual combat in the modern era. If soldiers do charge with the bayonet, they can overcome the enemy because they're not prepared for the opponent to just charge in point blank and attack you with rifle and bayonet, and it can actually overwhelm the enemy and force them to break and flee, even if they are outnumbering the soldiers that are actually attacking. So there is some validity to the idea of the bat'leth as well as the implementation of it. There is some validity to Klingon culture, Klingon tactics, and Klingon weaponry. And before ending it all, I just wanted new Star Trek, bit so and so. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. But what I do think is really cool with the new movies and what have you is the Klingons' helmet. Maybe not the armor design, but I mean, I think they look badass with the helmet, and I think it really suits them. And why shouldn't they have a helmet? I think it makes perfect sense. And I mean, if you have armor and a helmet, it means you really need
those points like cells or darts were talking about. You know, you need to try and find the chinks in the armor, the armpits, the neck here, and what have you, to try and reach in and get the kill shot, get in to the visor and what have you. I think it makes perfect sense having helmets on Klingons, and they do look badass, I have to say. But I would really like a version of the traditional Klingon outfit with this new helmet. I think that would be really cool. Just make this here look a bit more realistic, you know, upgraded a bit. Keep the shoulder pieces here and the sash, be it the golden one or the metallic one, and stuff like that, and you know, make it look as, you know, we recognize it, not this completely new thing here, but something that we recognize, and just add this cool helmet to this. I think that would really work and could really benefit the Klingon, what do you call it, the aesthetics of the Klingons when they do go into battle. And also you wouldn't have to put as much money on makeup and time and money on makeup. Instead you just buy a latex helmet and put it on all the extras, and you got a bunch of Klingons running around, right? I think that makes sense. So this, yeah, I think a helmet makes sense for the Klingons, and it would make the Bat'leth an even more valid choice for engaging targets up close and personal, if you ask me. So that's gonna have to be it. I hope you found it interesting. I hope I'll see you in the next one. Until then, Kapla.
Today's a good day to die. Majdak malenta, Jem'hadar kaume. Nu ilutach visma monsobe, tumivnesbe kuswi chavyash. Majdak mahavad lulachashwi chopfu hachtinu pobom mashe. Chowi pomma mahilchu, Jachochdiro. Majdak malenta, Jem'hadar kaume. Dayat sheglume. Onward to battle we fly, to vanquish our foes. With weapon in hand, we will not falter. We will stand firm, we will gain glory. On the battlefield we prove our worth. In death we earn our fame, for glory we join. Shall be slain. Onwards to battle we fly, to vanquish our foes. Today's a good day to die. Majdak malenta, Jem'hadar kaume. Nu ilutach visma monsobe, tumivnesbe koswi chavyash. Majdak mahavad we khoftu bin babong mashe khube we bong ma hil khu ya khokhti ho Majdak malenta Jem'hadar kaume da ya sheglu